Hey Eurovision fans, it's time for another Eurovision news update. Today's top stories: is there going to be a second chance round on TikTok in Eurovision? I'm going to talk about all the potential different formats, the rumours, and what I think about it. Are Keiino coming back to Eurovision to represent Norway? And Lee Smithers, one of the executive producers for the show this year, explains what happened with the Onstage qualification drama that caused waves all over social media. So let's kiki. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Tom. I'm an Irish Eurovision analyst, and on this channel you can find year-round coverage of adult and junior Eurovision, including analysis, stats, and all the national finals. So as always, I've wandered through the wildlands of social media to bring you all of the most delicious and rumor-filled news about Eurovision that's currently going on. Our main story today is very rumory, and it's regarding a potential second chance round in Eurovision. So this rumor was spread by ESC Hayden on Instagram. From received leaks of a person who seems to be working for the EBU seems to be in talks with their official media partner TikTok to introduce a second chance round to the contest in Sweden next year. TikTok has been Eurovision's official media partner since 2022 and seems to get more involvement in the contest every year. Don't I know it? So if a second chance round would be likely to happen, it would most likely be organized in collaboration with the social media platform. So for those of you who don't know, second chance is like a pretty common thing in songs like The Voice and X Factor, where someone who's been eliminated gets to come back and re-enter again. Actually, one of my favorites TV shows, Survivor, does the same thing. We used to have a Exile Island, and then it was so unpopular with the fans that they got rid of it. But yeah, this is something that exists a lot in reality TV. It's a pretty standard trope. Now, let's be real, this is as rumoristic as a rumors get. This is probably like 95% not true, but it's the off season and we've got nothing to do, so let's just overanalyze the crap out of it. So first of all, I started thinking, what are the potential formats that this could take? So I think there's three potential ways. The first potential format would be that there are 9 qualifiers from each semi-final, and then after each show, TikTok does their save a person second chance round online. There's some sort of voting, and that's how we get the 10th qualifier from that semi-final. So the people from that semi-final will be competing with each other for the last spot. And then the same thing happens in semi-final number 2, and we have a final that's the same size as normal. The second potential format will be the same as I just said, except we have our original 10 qualifiers and we're getting an 11th qualifier through this second chance round. So that would mean in total we have 28 countries in the final, which would be a record because the previous record is 27 when Australia joined the contest and were an automatic qualifier in 2015, and Germany had the not very great honor of being the only country to have finished 27th. So if they brought this in and then Germany finished 28th, I don't think I could handle that. Theoretically, that would be 28 countries in the final. And then a third potential format would be one second chance round after the second semi-final, choosing one song. So everyone who didn't qualify from semi-final 1 and everyone who didn't qualify from semi-final number 2, all coming into one big second chance round after the second semi-final. So first of all, could this be true? Well, we do know that the EBU is partnered with TikTok and they're pushing TikTok pretty hard. So that part of it does kind of like fit in, and it would get the audience more involved, and it would help create this atmosphere that people really are getting to decide who's in the final. And we have seen it on other reality TV shows as well. So it's not like this brand new thing that's never been done before. It's a little bit of a trashy gimmick, but you know, they could maybe do it in a classy way, who knows. I'm going to give you my opinion on what I think about it at the end once I've talked about all the pros and cons. And a third thing we know is that Sweden are big innovators. In 2013, they were the ones who brought in the producer-led running order, which I'm a big fan of. I know it has its downsides, but generally I think the positives exceed the negatives, and I think it makes for a better show. And they also, in 2016, when they hosted in Stockholm, they innovated this thing of the televote and the jury being announced separately, which I think pretty much everybody agrees is great. I don't know anyone who doesn't like that. Sweden do have a reputation and a history for coming up with these innovations to push the competition forward, so I don't think that they would be shy about bringing in something new. TikTok would definitely be on board. They don't care about Eurovision. For them, it's extra publicity and etc. So it's really up to the EBU. What do they think is best? Now, what are the reasons that it might not be true? Well, look, let's be real. If you make something up like this, which is pretty exciting, you're going to get attention. I didn't know who ES before this. I now follow her on Instagram. So if this is made up, it's worked because, you know, she's getting more followers. So another reason it might not be true is that it seems a little bit odd to have a big public vote and then say, okay, well, let's have another public vote after that. It is a little bit strange. Again, those reality TV shows like X Factor do that. They let people vote and decide who they want to go through, and then they give them like a second chance to save someone who maybe they took for granted or just assumed was going through but didn't. But yeah, it does seem a little bit odd to have like a big vote and then say, okay, we're gonna have another vote. One way that could make sense is if the jury is coming back. So if the jury were to come back, having a second vote would kind of make more sense, because it'd be like, okay, the jury haven't put this person through, now you can save them in a televote only vote. So that could be an interesting way for them to bring the jury back, but still kind of give a little bit more power to the televote, in that the televote gets to have its say in an extra person. So that's interesting. I'm not starting a rumor that the jury's coming back. I'm not getting into rumors starting in the off season. That would make more sense. That would kind of explain it if the jury were coming back. We did have something similar to that between 2008 and 2010 when we had the golden jury rule. I'm not sure if you remember that, but it was when there would be a televote and the jury. The first 9 qualifiers would be the combined result, and then the 10th qualifier would be the highest ranked remaining song in the jury. So the jury got like a special say in who the 10th qualifier was. So North Macedonia actually got screwed over by that twice, which is often why I say on this channel, they're the country with the least amount of luck in Eurovision. Okay, so what do I think about this? Well, I really think it depends how it's done. If they're gonna do the 9 and the 10th qualifier as the second chance, I am not into that at all, because they're basically taking 2 qualifiers from us and then giving us back to it in a kind of crappy way. So yeah, I'm not into that at all. If it's situation number 2 where we've got a 28 final, like, I like the idea of a longer final, but I don't think that's probably the best for the general public, who probably already think the show is quite long. And also we know that SVT want to reduce the length of the show as well. I do think there's a bit too much stuff after the final song leading up to the voting. I think that gap this year was very, very long. But yeah, 28 songs, I don't think that's going to happen. So I do think the most likely format would be the third format, which is 10 songs go through as normal. We have a 21st qualifier from the second chance round. I have to admit, I'd actually be okay with that. If we look at who would have been in contention this year, it would have been Latvia or Iceland or Georgia. Yeah, totally. I think the quality is so high recently that a 21st qualifier to me, I still think would be really, really high quality. And I think Latvia would have added something really amazing to the final. So if we look at kind of who's coming 11th in recent competitions. So yeah, I'm not totally against this concept. I'm wondering how they're actually going to do it on TikTok. How are you going to protect against people voting for their own country? So do you have to be registered with a passport? Does it have to be voting by a credit card or something like that? I don't know, but as long as it's done in a way that's not going to just be the country with the largest population winning. But yeah, format number 1, I'm not into at all. Throw it straight in the bin. Anyway, what do you think about the potential thing about second chance round? Trying to get too riled up with this, because at this point in time, it is a massive, gigantic rumor. Probably 95% not true, but I don't know. It's an interesting idea. So let's see what they do with it. Okay, our next story is about Keiino from Norway. And this was a post from Scandipop, who I follow on Twitter. And they're saying Keiino are currently in the studio in Stockholm with Dino Medanhozic. I've never had to say his name before. I don't think I said it right. The first and only songwriter in Melfest history to have entered 8 songs and have them all go to the final. Could Keiino be setting up to top Monument for MGP 24? So yeah, I was really excited when I saw this. First of all, Dino damn it, his name. Let's call him Dino. Dino is the person who wrote Bulletproof, which probably would have been my number 2 in 2020 if it had won Melodifestivalen, and it lost by 1 point, which I'm still not over. But yeah, he also wrote that. I think he wrote Little Todd as well. Last year he wrote Royals by Paul Ray, which I didn't like. But generally, I really, really like his style of pop song creation. Really, really great. So very excited to see him mixing with Keiino, who obviously won the televote for Norway in 2019 and then came second to Tix in 2021 with Monument, which was a big, big fan favorite. I have to admit, I was not a gigantic fan of that. People saying that it could win. I don't think it would have won. There's no way the jury would have gone for that. I do like Keiino a lot as performers. I think they're awesome. So then paired with Dino, that could be really, really, really magical. And yeah, I definitely, hopefully they submit that song to MGP 2024. I already am massively excited for MGP anyway. This only makes me more excited. I'm gonna have to wear a nappy because I might pee my pants. But yeah, thank you for that story from Scandipop. Okay, our next story concerns Slovakia. Now, before I start this story, I have to point out the adjective for Slovakia is Slovak, not Slovakian. I have made that mistake several times on this channel. People correct me in the comments. I'm saying it mostly to remind myself Slovak, not Slovakian. Although they have announced they are not coming back to the 2024 contest, the head of PR and communications at the Slovak broadcaster RTVS, Zuzana Veselova, has revealed that Slovakia are thinking about a return to the 2025 contest. Essentially, they've had a change to their budgeting. So before they weren't able to come because there wasn't enough money in the budget. Now their budget is going to be tied to a subsidy of their GDP. I think it's 0.17%. That's an increase in 46 million euro budget for the TV station. Now, based on the fact that Ireland's participation costs around 106,000 euro, and Slovakia's population is pretty much the same as Ireland, 5.4 million for Slovakia. So I would guess it's somewhere in the same region. I wonder, is also factored in like GDP per capita? Does that get factored in as well, or is it just on population? I'm not entirely sure, but we would guess that it's roughly 100,000 for Slovakia to participate, plus all the extra costs in flights and etc. Yeah, an extra 46 million would cover that. So I can't remember which video I talked about it in, but I basically talked about how Slovakia is not on the map for European children right now. I'm totally in support of this. If you want children to know your country, Eurovision is the ultimate geography class. They will know your country exists, and they will know its flag, especially with Slovakia, where the Slovak and Slovene flag are very, very similar to each other. But yeah, this is fantastic. I would love Slovakia to come back. In any case, you'll be happy to know that I already have a Slovakia magnet. I felt this in my soul that this could happen. So while I was buying the magnets last year, I bought a Slovakia one as well. I don't have a Luxembourg one yet or a Bosnian one. I'm going to try and buy those now because I'm currently in China. But yes, if Slovakia do come back, I'm going to take some partial credit for manifesting it by buying that magnet. So I'm not saying it's all because of me, but let's say like 99% because of me. Another main story is in regards to an interview done by Lee Smithers with the Eurotrip podcast. So if you don't know Lee Smithers, he was one of the executive producers on the show this year and also head of show. And he was talking about the controversy that happened this year when they trialed the qualification sequence being on the stage. So he was addressing that because obviously that got a lot of kickback. A lot of people weren't happy about it, myself included. But yeah, he gave three main reasons for why they decided to try that out. The first one being pretty legitimate, saying how it looked better on TV. Obviously, all the cameras are focused on the stage, and then suddenly you have something going on kind of in the green in the background where you don't have any big cameras set up. It was harder for them to get cuts of reactions. So in case you don't know, what currently happens is you have three cameramen with steady cams, and they're running around all over the place. They keep running between different acts. One of them will run to the actual qualifier, and two of them will run to dummy contestants who aren't actually going to qualify. So if you're sitting in the audience at Eurovision, which I hope that you get to have the experience of doing one year because it is amazing, you can see this happening. You can see three people running around. So if you want spoilers while you're in the stadium in Eurovision, you can look and watch the three cameramen, and it's going to be one of the three. I don't usually do that. I usually go up and film my reactions instead because I love the qualification sequence. That kind of makes sense to me. You know, really, you want to see those reactions because it is one of the big key emotional points of the whole show. And then if you don't have any cameras on it, I get that conundrum. The second point he made was about viewers getting to know the artists. Now this one I don't know as much. I think if viewers want to get to know the artists, there's plenty of TikTok and interviews and everything like that. I suppose more casual viewer who wants to get to know them a little bit, I don't know what the point of that really is. I know the interviews in the room, I always feel like they're filler because they're setting up the stage. I want the results to be based off the song and the performance on the staging. I don't want it to be because they've seen the person, they think they're hot, or they think that they're funny. I just don't think that's relevant to the results. So I don't feel a need for there to be more getting to know the contestants. I get why that's important in the X Factor and Strictly, because you want people to get invested in these contestants over several months so that they keep tuning in. But for Eurovision, you don't need that because you're going to see them maximum 2 times, and then most casual viewers are never going to see them ever again. So I just don't think that's necessary. So I don't really see the point of that. And then the third point he made was about wanting to protect any artists. Now this one I don't really massively buy. So he's saying if you have the people on the stage, when they don't qualify, you can just get them off very, very quickly. People won't be taking videos of them. For example, this year we had an issue with people who had filmed Iru from Georgia crying and then posted all over online, which was so super trashy. So yeah, I don't know if I totally buy that. I think when it's in the green room, if you just show the qualifiers, you don't get to see the non-qualifiers anymore because you can just decide not to film them. The people in the audience, yeah, a couple of people are going to be filming with their phones, but if you have them on the big screen, so they would have had like a split, a 6-way split, where you have the 6 people who haven't qualified yet, you're going to see 5 people non-qualifying. You're going to see their reactions. You're going to see their face crushing. You're going to see them disappointed. I think it's actually the opposite of what he's saying. I think you're maximizing how much disappointment you see. You get to see all 5 people non-qualifying instead of seeing 0 of them non-qualifying. So yeah, I don't really buy that logic whatsoever. Yeah, you could get them off the stage quicker, but you've still seen them non-qualifying, which you wouldn't have seen before. Look, for me, this is them trying something new. That's fair enough. Not everything new that you try is going to work. I think just own it. Just say, look, we tried it and it kind of sucked and people hated it, so we dumped it. At least they listened to people and did dump it instead of just kind of like plowing through, being quite stubborn about it. So, and I thought that Lee and the rest of the team did an amazing show. I thought everything looked really, really, really great. So look, overall they did an amazing job. This was one blip that they had. I don't massively buy the third excuse, but yeah, the first one kind of makes sense to me. Okay, we've got some national final news for you, and it's about San Marino. They're returning to Una Voce por San Marino, which is their extremely gigantic and very messy national final. It's been confirmed for a 3rd series. This is the ultimate quantity over quality national final that you could possibly have. Way too many songs, not enough quality going on, really, really messy. The shows are really long, very hard to watch. And then the final 20 songs, really strange format. They just kind of like announce the results at the end after this very, very long show. Very few people watched it this year. I did manage to slog through the final. It was pretty painful. I thought Senhit's a fantastic host. The male host was atrocious. The format was atrocious. And then the result just kind of like splattered onto the screen, just like, these guys won. It's like, well, okay. No build up whatsoever, no excitement. So look, fair play to San Marino for showing up every year. They have been in the contest every single year for the last 10 contests, which is very impressive. Only 27 countries have done that. So lots of other countries who didn't manage to make it, San Marino always have found a way. So I totally respect them for that. But yeah, this national final really needs to be cleared up. Make it much, much smaller. Make it a much simpler format that's easier to understand. Don't just have the results like from one random dude just saying, oh, that guy won. It just makes it look a little bit dodgy. So, and it does still feel like not super transparent. You know, we had that year as well, I think it was 360, the national final had, where Sarah de Blue was the big favorite, and then they ended up picking Jennifer Brenning and someone else because they got more funding, and then they had this awful song with the rap and the robots. Just terrible. And Sarah de Blue had an amazing song. So San Marino messy, but I love them. They're your messy friend that you like. Okay, and to finish off, we're going to go through some quick news. Portugal have confirmed participation. Interestingly, Eurovoix, who reported this, said that this is the first time Portugal are showing up to Sweden in a long time. They missed Sweden hosting in 2000 and 2013 and 2016. So there's kind of a little bit of a pattern that was going of Portugal not showing up to Sweden, but they are showing up this year. Festival da Canção is back. It's got 20 songs. They're keeping this very interesting format that's quite unique to Festival da Canção, where they invite 14 people. They say, would you write a song first, please? And then 6 other songs will be chosen from the best of the rest songs that are submitted. Most of the winners actually come from the invited acts. Mimicat was the first winner who came from the submitted songs that I could find anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you know, I love Portugal in Eurovision. They're super unique. They have their own identity. They stick to that. They don't compromise. I always think they send something very quality, a great performer. Really love them in the contest, and I feel like they've really stepped up in the last 4 or 5 years. I really enjoy Festival da Canção. Okay, more quick news about Liechtenstein. They are not joining the contest. 1FL TV, their broadcaster, has confirmed they're not coming. Yeah, look, these small countries, it's 39,000 people. San Marino's 33,000, just to give context. Look, I'm open to Liechtenstein coming, but they would have to have found their little niche strategy in the same way that San Marino has. And obviously Cyprus isn't as small, but Cyprus have been extremely successful at finding a particular strategy for themselves. That that's 6 qualifications in a row, and they qualified this year as well, so that's 7 of the last 8 years for Cyprus. So yeah, I'm okay with Liechtenstein coming, but I'm not like more You have to come competitive with something good, not just making up the numbers. Another country not coming in is Bosnia and Herzegovina. Really sad to see this. So Dean, who represented them in 2016, but yes, they've still got their financial issues. This is very complicated. I don't know all the full details, I have to admit, but I know that they're in debt to the EBU, and there's something about money not being released to them from factions within the broadcaster. It's very complicated and messy, but yeah, if you know all the full details of what's going on, leave a comment in the comment section down below. But the thing about Bosnia is they were so good in the contest, where they had 6 top 11 finishes in 8 contests and a 90% qualification record. So Leia in 2006, the Balkan guy who is a Bosnian reactor, Eurovision reactor, he will have to comment, we had an amazing run in Eurovision, but right now our music industry is practically non-existent. We have a few active singers making music, and all of it is done in Belgrade with Serbian producers. Even if we would come back, I generally don't know who we could send and not flop. Now this might be me being a little bit naive, but I wonder, could Bosnia coming back to Eurovision actually help invigorate that a little bit, get their music scene a little bit more, kind of like add a little bit of life into it? I don't know, it's something that's only once a year, but even holding a national final can really help mobilize a lot of artists to start creating. They have something to work towards, they start working together and forming new relationships. So, but yeah, really sad that Bosnia aren't coming back. Beautiful country. I've been to Sarajevo. It's really pretty. It's only 3.2 million people in the country, but they have these amazing results. One of the most successful countries from the Balkans. So really sad that this is the 7th year in a row they won't be at the contest, and I really hope we get them back soon. Beautiful flag. I don't have the magnet. I will try and get it while I'm in China to manifest their return, because that's what happens. I bought Slovakia's flag and now they're probably coming back, so that's just magic. Malta have chosen their artist for Junior Eurovision. I'm covering Junior Eurovision this year. You can check out my review of the Dutch Junior Eurovision National Final if you want. There's 4 songs, they're actually pretty good, and they're going to be choosing their songs soon. Duncan Lawrence has surpassed 1 billion streams on Spotify. He is currently the leader in terms of streams in Eurovision songs ever, so congratulations to him. He also got married to a guy who looks a lot like him. It almost looks like a doppelganger. So congratulations on 1 billion streams and on getting married. And finally, Belgium have confirmed that they are also participating. I think it's going to be the French broadcaster this year, who usually internally select. Yeah, the last few times they've internally selected. So I wonder, are they going to do that, or are they going to try and keep up Eurosong themselves, the Belgian national final, which was really entertaining. I thought a very interesting format. So who knows what they're going to do. But yeah, Belgium are back. Okay, that's it for all the Eurovision news. Thank you to all my beautiful Patreons for supporting me, giving some stability to my life. And also a big shout out to those who are supporting me on Buy Me Coffee. So thank you to Simbux, Johan K, Avner K, Gabe S, and Johan R. And also thank you to Luke M for supporting me on PayPal. If you want to support me on Patreon or any of those other sites, I'll leave links to you in the description below. But as always, thank you so much just for watching my channel and hopefully leaving me a thumbs up. If you like this Eurovision analysis video and you want to watch some more, I'll leave a couple of them for you in the end screen. And thanks so much for watching. I'm seeing another Eurovision news video very soon. Goodbye.